All right, I now call up your president of mine, Dr. Ellen Feit.
Oh, Rabbi. It is so exciting for me to be standing here before you during an almost normal, before times, Kol Nidre service. For those of you who actually read my very wordy weekly updates, you know I try to keep you informed, but I write a bit too much. So tonight I will focus just on the highlights of the past year to show you that we are emerging from COVID with a renewed sense of purpose and with a ton of ruach. Compared to 2020, when I spoke to about 120 people in person, fully masked and 12 feet apart, and the rest of you were on live stream, and I heard only later that the live stream cut out right before my appeal. Thank you, Jeff Nortman, for relaying the message in the hopes that we could fix it before the morning service. Tonight, it's wonderfully kind of full. Kol Nidre 2022, or for David Adelheit, 5783. Masks are mostly optional. Social distancing is not happening. We have been vaccinated, boosted, and boosted again. I was always the germaphobe, the type who didn't touch doorknobs, but with COVID, my appreciation for hand sanitizer grew exponentially. Thank you to Bob Spielman for keeping me well stocked. We still have the tent, but this time it's not needed because of COVID, but because we needed to increase our capacity. We had over 300 people attending services in the tent on Rosh Hashanah, on top of the close to 800 people in the building here last week. So what have we been up to since last High Holidays? How do we spend your dues and your donations? Your dues, by the way, have not gone up in 3 years when all of the other surrounding shuls raised theirs in these inflationary times. So why am I always asking for more money? I'll tell you. You may have noticed that we stepped up security. Joe Richards brought us the CSS training so that we now have a volunteer security staff to supplement our own black tie security, especially crucial in the age of rising anti-Semitism and hate. There was the Colleyville hostage crisis, followed by the school shooting in Uvalde, the supermarket shooting in Buffalo, the recent school shooting in California. Unfortunately, I can go on and on. Dave Sakai, Andy Lagnato, and Joe Richards have worked incredibly hard enhancing not only the congregation's security, but that of the early childhood and religious school programs. Many of the enhancements are visible, such as boulders in front of the playground and reflective film added to the large windows and vestibules. Other enhancements are not so visible, such as improvements to our security and emergency protocols, coordination with the 2nd Precinct for additional collaboration and training, utilizing the RAVE app, and adding bulletproof and bullet-resistant glass in certain areas around our perimeter. We will soon be installing high-level bulletproof glass within new front entrance doors that we hope to be completed by the end of 2022, utilizing another federal security grant for over $150,000 that Andy and Dave worked so hard to secure. Right after I spoke to you last year, we not only had breakfast in the sukkah for our ECE and religious school students and families, but we held our first Susie Schuster Oneg Shabbat in the sukkah. We also held 2 blood drives, saving over 250 lives with what we collected. Thank you to Randy Fogel and Dave Sakai for organizing. We partnered with Sharsheret, a national nonprofit Jewish cancer organization, to hold a special Pink Shabbat to spread awareness about breast cancer. Thank you to Rebecca Obedian and Nicole Austacher, who coordinated with Sharsheret and organized an expert panel to answer our community's questions. Thanks to our own doctors, Rebecca and Edward Obedian, and Dr. Randy Feingold for participating, and additional thanks to Randy for bringing one of his breast cancer patients to us so she could share her touching story. We held COVID drive-up testing, flu shot and COVID vaccination clinics, and we're fortunate to have an ECE family step up to help us secure what was once hard to obtain rapid COVID tests for you, right at the time the Omicron variant began circulating. We sold over 1,100 COVID test kits at wholesale cost to you and to the community. We celebrated 8 nights of Hanukkah with great programming, courtesy of Mitchell and Rosemary Clipper, and got a lot of our young families involved in the planning as well as the activities, which included candlelighting with Rabbi Fruithandler, speakers, Cantor Cohen sing-along, a baking event, and an awesome mentalist. We held our congregational meeting where we voted to update our Constitution as well as move forward with refinancing the mortgage on both this building and the Rabbi's parsonage. Thank you to Gary Spergel, David Gaffner, David Adelheit, and Rabbi Fruithandler for helping with the Constitution revision, and thank you to Kara Goldstein, our treasurer, and Lance Kuba for assisting in the arduous process of refinancing both mortgages. We are utilizing monies from the refi of the parsonage to make needed renovations to the Rabbi's house to accommodate his expanded family and truly to make his house a home, as he will be with us hopefully for decades to come. Thank you to Mark Levine for overseeing the construction and renovations. I know this is truly a labor of love. Thank you to Paul Chaskis for overseeing all house and parsonage-related issues, and to Larry Spiro and Michael Medavoy for their assistance and generosity, as well as to Arnie Apriya and his wonderful staff. Our Francis Woodover Purim extravaganza featured an in-person Megillah reading and festivities including Zoom trivia contests, fun prizes, and a hilarious comedy show, all courtesy of Ken and Erica Woodover, with the assistance of their planning committee. Shalach Manot boxes were freshened up and were delicious, much thanks to Nicole Austacher and her volunteers. Adrian Roth and Robin Shore held Zoom hamantashen, chocolate matzah, and challah bakes that were deliciously fun. Passover and Shavuot programming were wonderful, and of course included not only services, but a Chol HaMoed, kosher for Passover dinner, and a Shavuot ice cream Sunday party that was organized, of course, by Paul Chaskis. We observed Kristallnacht and Yom HaShoah with wonderful speakers arranged by our former intern Kaylee Romick and Cantor Cohen in coordination with the Elke Rosen Foundation. The Cantor held movie nights and discussions with many Zoom box attendees, up-to-the-minute news from Israel, and his popular Zoom Havdalah during the winter months. Cantor's adult Benot Mitzvah class finally got to lead services while we got to kvel from these dedicated and persistent women. Mazel tov to Renee Oshinsky, Anita Roseman, Wendy Spergel, and Coco Zahavi. Rabbi was instrumental in leading numerous committees to bring all our holiday programming to fruition, as well as teaching his own classes on Judaism in depth, Torah, Israel, and interpersonal relations, and working closely with our religious school, B'nai Mitzvah students, and early childhood program. His Tat Shabbats on Friday afternoon in the sanctuary with the littlest ones and their families were not to be missed. Many months were spent exploring retirement plans for our employees to help with retention and set us apart from other synagogues. And I am happy to share that we are now offering a 403B program for our employees. No cost to us, but lots of benefits for them. I thank Rami Abada, who worked with Michelle Komatsu to bring this program to fruition. Thank you, Michelle, and to our bookkeeper, Sylvia Padron, for all they do for us. I've spoken of the history of our discussions with JJC, which started in July of 2020, when I met with 3 past presidents of Jericho about making a potential shidduch. They came to me to assess our interests in consolidating our shuls, as they were having a hard time sustaining their dwindling membership due to a significant change in Jewish demographics in their community. Woodbury Jewish Center was not the only potential suitor, but I was thrilled to report that we had gotten the final rose. We were chosen to enter exclusive and official consolidation discussions. That led to numerous meetings over the next 2 years with Mark Anish and Robin Spielman by my side, and with Barbara Rosenblum, Jay Sherman, and Mark Wilkow representing the Jericho Jewish Center. Although the obstacles to a consolidation weren't insurmountable, some members of Jericho made it impossible to continue the discussions. The goalpost kept moving further away, and as much as we seemed to concede, it was never good enough, until it was evident it wasn't going to happen the way we envisioned it. Marty Pollack, Paul Smolovitz and Bonnie Weinstock provided additional counsel to get us close to the contract writing stage, but we just couldn't cross the finish line. Some Jericho members decided to give us a try anyway. More and more members came to worship with us over the summer at Pray at the Bay and Shabbat mornings, with Cindy Maddy as Gabbai, welcoming them with open arms. Barbara Rosenblum and Jay Sherman committed themselves and their families to us. They wanted to be part of a growing synagogue, a forward-thinking shul with membership comprised of all ages, with a vibrant early childhood and religious school programs, and activities and programming for everyone. Well, what started with just a few Jericho people praying with us has turned into over 40-plus and counting families who have joined us as members of Woodbury Jewish Center. Our new Jericho members, please stand up. Let me tell you, these people care about Judaism, they care about worshiping, and they care about us. Although we never formally merged shuls, and we may not have gotten the proceeds from their building, the financial capital, per se, we got something better. We got the best human capital, the best of the best, and I'm so thrilled to welcome so many people into our family. Welcome, my friends. We are all part of the Woodbury Jewish Center family now. I will speak tomorrow about the upcoming year and our future, but suffice it to say, once again, we are ascendant, we are vibrant, and we are strong. But we do need your help to continue the programming I have mentioned. Now that we are truly opened and living in a post-pandemic environment, we want to bring in renowned speakers. We want to offer Shabbat dinners to all, kiddushes that include lox every week. It's for you, my Shabbat regulars. We want to exceed your expectations of what you want from your spiritual home. We want to continue educating your children. The ECE has 90-plus adorable children, and that's despite losing students to the universal pre-K program in the school district. I'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank you again to Cindy Common and her staff for navigating the COVID world that existed for our young, unvaccinated children and for keeping the ECE program top-notch. No matter what metrics you use, our children are very well prepared for kindergarten. Thank you to Adrienne Roth, Robin Shore, and Molly Newman for overseeing our ECE program. Dr. Rachel Treshin, the interim director of our religious school, kicked off a great start to the school year. We went from 100 students in 2020 to 144 students last year to 172 students this year. For the first time in decades, we had to break up our kindergarten class into two classes. We have very large first and second grade classes, as well as Gimel, Daled, and Hey, and both Aleph and Bet have 2 classes per grade. Thank you to Charlene Levy, our administrator who assists Rachel, and much thanks to Randy Fogel and Gina Lubman, who oversee the religious education program, along with their committee comprised of Julia Harmon, Molly Newman, Nicole Polyakov, Amy Kern, Sharon Weber, Debbie Phillips, and Nikki Levy. The last 2 years, I told you that my 3 children contributed to Kol Nidre, but that's because they're my children and kind of feel obligated. However, if you ask them, they will tell you that they donate because Woodbury Jewish Center educated them from nursery through Hay graduation, and they can still lead prayers, read Torah, and pray in any synagogue in the world. My oldest son, Justin, had his Afraf and marriage here, and Ryan will at least have his Afraf here. My youngest son, Brandon, isn't engaged yet, and there is truly no pressure. 2 out of the 3 have already made super generous Kol Nidre donations, and the 3rd is waiting on this speech. But they love the Woodbury Jewish Center, and without arm twisting, they are happy to keep the WJC strong through participation and donations. My husband, Andy, and I love the Woodbury Jewish Center. I know you do too. Help us keep it strong. Please give what you can. Gamar Hatima Tova.
If you have your little cards, we're happy to collect them. It's a new system that I do not understand, but there's a string and a thing, and just put it on whatever the largest number you see is, and hand your envelope back in, and a dweck child will pick it up.